Hey guys, welcome to All Time Gaming. I'm Chris.
And I'm Alex, and it's been 2 weeks since the release of No Man's Sky, and the reaction has been mixed, I think it's fair to say.
Yes, that's right. No Man's Sky, the game that was going to blow every other game out of the water, has not necessarily lived up to, the substantial hype that it has inspired, and some people were left disappointed.
Yeah, and this happens every year, Chris, doesn't it? We see some stuff for a game, we see some trailers, and we get far too excited about the title, and we overhype it.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. And that's exactly what happened to No Man's Sky. Way too much hype, and people overlooking that actually it's not such a bad game.
It's a pretty freaking good game, Chris, and in fact, compared to these 6 overhyped releases, it is fucking awesome.
Oh yes. So as the internet loves reminding us, the 90s, were a thing. Blink-182 were huge, Independence Day was riding high at the box office, and Pokemon was the latest craze.
Ah, the 90s.
How times have changed. And also during that golden decade, Duke Nukem was chewing bubblegum and kicking ass as the ultimate symbol of Americana in video games.
What a friggin' legend.
So imagine the excitement in the air when in 2010, after 14 long years, 2K and Gearbox announced they were working on Duke Nukem Forever to be released the following year.
Surely it was going to be an amazing, brilliant, fantastic game.
One of the holy grails, right? And one of the biggest jokes in the industry, the development time of the game, was about to be put to bed once and for all. It was time for Duke to make a triumphant return.
Oh my god, I was excited.
So excited. But the problem was that after 14 years, the humor that had once made the Nukem series awesome now seemed kind of, dated and cringy, as did practically everything else about the series. The gameplay was slow, boring, the controls were all over the place, and the art style looked like it belonged to 2005 instead of 2011.
Probably because they were developing it in 2005 as well. And 2004. And 2003.
Yes.
And 2002.
No, I think they took time off on 2002.
They had a break.
They had a break.
Fair enough.
It seemed that while the rest of the world, including the entire Halo series, Call of Duty, and most of Grand Theft Auto, kept up with the trends, Duke Nukem was content to wallow in 90s nostalgia alone to shift copies. It just didn't do anything new or innovative, something that would grab us by the balls and, make us pay attention. But other games were now much better at doing what Duke used to do. Only good old Duke Nukem couldn't notice that.
Maybe now the sunglasses were because he was blind and he couldn't see. He wasn't looking cool, he just couldn't see what happened.
Blind Duke Nukem.
Blind Duke Nukem. Speaking of moving with the times, what's more hip and trendy than hacking?
Necrophilia.
Okay. Well, Ubisoft would disagree with you, Chris. They certainly thought that hacking was the trendiest thing when they pitched Watch Dogs to us. The story of a reformed hacker now using his powers for good by taking down prostitution rackets and stopping muggings.
And necrophilia.
And some necrophilia. The E3 2012 material looked stunning to say the least.
Yeah, it did.
And Watch Dogs received a ton of praise, earning a special commendation for graphics and innovation and Best Action Adventure Game in 2013.
This is where they went wrong. It should have been award for best graphics in a trailer that you will never actually get to play yourself.
The graphics in the trailer were fantastic. Someone should have won an award for that. Such was the love for Watch Dogs that it was even considered to be one of the games that was supposed to encourage a console upgrade. But when the game was released in 2014, several gamers and media outlets noticed a significant downgrade in graphical quality.
I like to call it the Ubisoft effect.
Ubisoft effect. The game itself was by no means bad and was pretty damn different from a lot of Ubisoft's other fare that year.
Unity.
There you go. But for a game to sell itself on graphical quality and then not live up to the promises made, well, that wasn't going to fly. The game just didn't live up to the hype. Even more shocking for a lot of PC gamers was the fact that several graphical improvements were already locked away in their copies and could be re-enabled without a significant loss in performance. So why would Ubisoft sell on the promise of pretty graphics only to lock it away when nobody would see them?
Do you know why, Jonesy? Do you know why it happened?
Tell me.
Because they wanted the PC version to look like the console version, and because the console can't keep up with the PC. It's all bullshit!
This, of course, is the problem that we have nowadays.
It's bad.
They want to make it all look like, oh no, look at this parity across these systems. If the PC one's going to look better, let it look better.
No, but not even that. They've done the fucking work. The files are there. Just do it.
Leave it in. Maybe people will buy a PC.
Jesus Christ.
It felt slightly dishonest and detracted from the rest of the game. Hopefully the sequel will see that and show us what the game is instead of what they wish it could be. What do you think? Did the graphical downgrade mean anything to you? Let us know in the comments.
Did you still enjoy Watch Dogs? Now released around the same time as Watch Dogs, Destiny had a mountain to climb from day one. Developers Bungie had a lot to prove after the critical success of the Halo series, and people were waiting with bated breath to see if they were more than just a one-trick pony. I mean, could they do anything other than Halo? Activision spent $500 million, that's right, $500 million on development and marketing the game. Nearly double what Rockstar spent on GTA 5.
That is fucking ridiculous.
Mental.
That's $500 million.
I thought you were going to say half a beer then. I was going to say, Jonesy,
That's an expensive beer.
it's an expensive beer. With Game of Thrones' Peter Dinklage as voice talent, the writing talent behind Halo, and even fucking Paul McCartney providing the soundtrack. Even though he's a bit of an old hack and he should just like stop making music and maybe just like stop being in the public eye. But anyway, this should have been the most impressive game ever. Only it kinda wasn't.
Yeah.
Dinklage's voice acting for Ghost was widely regarded as flat. That wizard came from the moon. The story was criticized for being weak, disjointed, and lifeless, and the gameplay seemed to be designed to have a heavy focus on boring grinding.
And replaying the same old shit again and again and again and again and again and again.
And dancing.
Dancing and sitting.
I'm dancing. In short, a mediocre shooter alternative to World of Warcraft. The game was also criticized for having the impression of wide open spaces, but with most of the action taking place in like really cramped corridors. Bungie even halted pre-game reviews, saying that the social aspect of the game had to be taken into consideration.
Oh, that's something you don't want to hear when you're having your game reviewed by people.
Fucking bullshit.
Well, you can't review it because the social aspect is a very important part of the game.
Our game is awesome. We promise you it's awesome, but you can't play it. Bungie and Activision have made some excellent improvements to the game so far, but on release, it was a bit of a letdown. No one can argue that.
Now, anybody in theory should want to play the Order 1886. I mean, come on, you're fighting werewolves in Victorian London, for God's sake.
Yeah, what more do you need?
Sure, most of the trailers were cinematic instead of gameplay, but damn it if they didn't make me excited for the game. Unfortunately, for all the promise of fighting werewolves in the slums of Whitechapel, the game that we actually ended up with felt like a pretty, but empty, kind of shell of a game.
With hobos.
While Watch Dogs was more substance over style, The Order was completely different. It looked fantastic, with a graphical feel that came as close as possible to dumping you in Victorian London, minus the cholera, and extremely high production values virtually dripping from the walls. However, the campaign was incredibly short, with some people taking only 4 hours to finish it off. Plus, for all the promise of taking on werewolves, you mostly abandon that pursuit of fun to shoot poor people, for the arrogance of being poor. Damn you!
Poor people.
The characters, while well acted, are not as fleshed out as many people would have wished, with archetypes used left, right and centre instead of actual character development. The gameplay is also your typical Gears of War, but slightly different. So in other words, cling to cover and hope they don't toss a grenade, which gets stale extremely quickly. In the end, it was just another game that had amazing ambition, but was let down by a lack of imagination in the gameplay department. Oh, and QuickTime events can still go fuck themselves.
Right up the fucking front anus.
The person who did it first, fair play. The person who did it every time after that, screw you!
Okay, Jonesy, there are a ton of gaming tropes like, QuickTime events that can go and nosedive off a fucking cliff. One of them is always online connection. Bullshit. This irritating piece of shit is supposedly designed to prevent piracy and maintain multiplayer functionality.
But what if my internet connection drops out, Chris? Why can I not play my game? I don't even need to be online, Chris.
Well, that's the fucking point.
For fuck's sake!
That's the point.
And how many people are in the queue in front of me to get into the fucking game, Tom Clancy?
Well,
The Division?
That's an example.
Jesus Christ.
Well, Jonesy, case in point, SimCity of 2013. SimCity was a title that wannabe city planners had waited for since 2007's SimCity Societies.
Well, there's the biggest problem right there. They were waiting for a SimCity game.
There was a buzz around the game due to new 3D graphics, new multiplayer, and various other features. .tm.
And wacky wavy flaming flame alarm too, man.
But on launch, Jonesy, it turned out that EA's servers were dogshit turd pieces of piles of junk. So as the game was online only, if the servers cut out, and they did, there goes your city. Oh, spent all that time making a nice city? Fuck you! People were pissed that they had forked out $60 for a game that refused to work because of EA's mistakes. Their connection issues and their insistence on using a method of anti-piracy that has been proven to not really work.
Nope.
EA defended their position by claiming that the game was an MMO and therefore needed to be always online to share resources with other players.
Bullshit.
Yes, Alex Jones, because if that really was the case, then the game wouldn't have been made available offline less than a year later, something that they said that they couldn't initially do.
They were waiting. How long do we have to wait
Yeah.
until we can do this offline, and then people won't say, "Oh, you were lying," when you originally said this had to be online all the time?
It may be playable now, but the launch bullshit did enough damage and made it an incredibly frustrating and ultimately disappointing title. Thanks, EA.
Come on, EA. Now we end the list with the most famous botched release of the last 5 years. We all knew this was going to be on here. Step forward and claim your prize, Gearbox, for Aliens Colonial Marines. Which is a shame as well, because AVP was such a great game.
AVP was great.
A buggy, poorly written, terribly acted abomination of a game. When Gearbox's trailers and gameplay videos were first dropped at E3, people were pumped. An alien game made by people with a self-professed love for the subject matter, who are going to recreate the tense, heart-stopping stealth sections as well as the balls-to-the-wall running and gunning. All along, screenshots were pushed out that looked absolutely amazing, and fans of the franchise and casual gamers alike sat up and took notice.
Yeah, I mean, I got pumped up for this.
Then we got this. Now, look at the game we got. Now let's go back to the E3 gameplay. Now back to the game we got. Now, back to the E3 gameplay. This is the game we should have had were it not for the fact that instead of showing us representative gameplay at E3, Gearbox opted for vertical slices and specifically built and polished levels. These were not at all reflective of what we received, and people were pissed to say the least.
Damn right.
Critics were not kind to the game, and words such as misleading and potentially criminal were thrown about to describe the mess we were left with. If anything can be learned from this whole shitstorm, it's that you should never, ever, ever trust anyone.
Or trailers from E3.
Or trailers from E3.
Yeah. Well, guys, that's our list of the 6 most disappointing games we have ever experienced.
And all in the last 5 years. Are games getting worse? Let us know what you think, and if we missed anything out, let us know in the comments below.
And maybe give us a little like, a little bit of a subscribe, a little bit of a back rub would be nice, you know.
I'd love a background, bro.
Oh, dude.
And if you're looking for more, check out our first reaction to No Man's Sky and see if it lived up to our expectations. And we will see you next time.
Jonesy, where's Jamie?
Oh, I don't know, Chris. I actually had a really weird letter from him, not even an email. A letter that said that he joined a commune and was now living in a yurt. I think he's even shacked up with a yak.
He's definitely shacked up with a yak.